Advisory. Some episodes of the 1836 podcast are not intended for all audiences due to details that might be considered disturbing. Listener and viewer discretion is advised.
This episode of the 1836 podcast shares the journey of explorer Henry Rowe Schoolcraft and his expedition of the White River. Henry Rowe Schoolcraft was born on March 28, 1793, in Guilderland, New York, near Albany. His early years were marked by a studious nature and a keen interest in geology, literature, art, and languages. As a young scholar, he briefly attended Union College and later studied chemistry and mineralogy at Middlebury College in Vermont, laying the foundation for his future as a geologist and explorer. By the fall of 1818, at the young age of 25 years old, Schoolcraft set out from Potosi, Missouri, driven by tales of mineral deposits hidden in the Ozarks, particularly along the White River in what would soon become Arkansas Territory. Schoolcraft, accompanied by his sidekick, Levi Pettibone, embarked on a 3-month, 900-mile expedition that would etch his name into the history of the White River region. His journal was published in 1821 and chronicled this saga of exploration, scientific inquiry, and encounters with the frontier's sparse inhabitants whose kindness sustained him through the wilderness. The journey began in November as Schoolcraft and Pettibone plunged into the Ozarks wilds. Equipped with inadequate supplies, they navigated dense forests and rocky paths, their eyes fixed on the White River's headwaters. Schoolcraft noted the hard cherty footing and clusters of brambles that hindered their progress, his journal capturing the landscape's rugged beauty. Their path veered southwest toward the river that wound through present-day Missouri and Arkansas, a waterway Schoolcraft saw as a future conduit for trade. By late November, the pair reached the James River, a White River tributary near modern Springfield, Missouri. Schoolcraft's passion for geology surged as he tested soils and rocks, collecting samples and sketching the terrain. He wrote of potential lead deposits, envisioning the region's industrial promise. Yet the wilderness was relentless. Their pack horse ran off, and a river crossing soaked their supplies, leaving them hungry and vulnerable. For now, the howls of wolves and rustling leaves were their only companions. December brought them deeper along the White River's course. The weather was cold, and the river banks were muddy under their boots. Yet Schoolcraft marveled at its navigable stretches, imagining steamboats linking the Ozarks to the Mississippi. But scarcity tested their resolve. For several days they saw no one, until finally reaching the White River. Their fortunes shifted on January 5th when they met the Wells family. The family welcomed them with wild meat to eat and shelter. But Schoolcraft's journal betrayed a haughty disdain, reducing the Wells family to mere hunters and deriding their dirt-floored cabin as a haunt for savages. With cutting scorn, he mocked their poor look, grease-stained garments, and absence of formal schooling or faith, consigning them to the truly deplorable condition he ascribed to Ozark settlers. Further along the river, the explorers met other settlers. In early January of 1819, an unnamed hunter's family, possibly akin to the McGarrys or Cokers noted among early Ozark settlers, offered a hearty meal of wild game and a night's shelter in their rough-hewn cabin. Schoolcraft appreciated their generosity, which mirrored that of lone hunters or families like the Wells, Holts, Fishers, and Yoakums, who shared what little they had. Their kindness, though vital, did little to soften his view of them as unrefined, his biases clouding their ingenuity. Schoolcraft was grateful for their hospitality, noting their frankness and tales of the river's bounty, fish, game, and fertile lands that hinted at the frontier's potential. Schoolcraft's encounters extended beyond settlers. He was warned about certain Native Americans, likely the Osage, who hunted along the White River. He observed some abandoned camps and saw their wigwams, which he described as upside-down birds' nests. By January, Schoolcraft and Pettibone reached Batesville, a nascent settlement. Schoolcraft continued his surveys, mapping the river and cataloging its wildlife and vegetation. He described the White River Valley as a land of uncommon beauty, its prairies swaying under a winter sky. During his 1818 to 1819 expedition, Schoolcraft traversed the White River through regions now encompassing the modern Arkansas counties of Boone, Marion, Baxter, Stone, Izard, and Independence. From the river's headwaters to the settlement of Batesville, these counties framed his journey, as documented in his journal and mapped by modern scholars. But the journey's toll was evident. Pettibone's strength waned, and their partnership strained under cold and hunger. Returning to Missouri, Schoolcraft carried samples and insights. The White River, he wrote, was a gateway to the Ozark's potential. His journal captivated readers, drawing notice from Secretary of War John C. Calhoun, who later enlisted Schoolcraft for further expeditions. His geological surveys fueled future lead mining boom in the Ozarks, and his accounts of the river's navigability presaged its role in steamboat trade and later hydroelectric projects like the Bull Shoals Dam. His writings earned him recognition, leading to his appointment as an Indian agent to the Upper Great Lakes tribes, where he played a pivotal role in negotiating treaties that ceded millions of acres of Native American land to the United States. In 1823, he married a woman of Ojibwa heritage, whose family shared oral traditions that was compiled into a rich collection of Native American lore. This work transformed him into a leading ethnologist, historian of Native American cultures, and expert in their languages and customs. After relocating to Washington, D.C. in 1847, Schoolcraft suffered a paralytic stroke and his health declined steadily. Schoolcraft died on December 10, 1864, at the age of 71. Today, he is celebrated as a pioneering anthropologist, one of the first to champion Native American studies and ignite widespread interest in their history and culture. The White River, once a quiet thread in the Ozarks, would become a lifeline for communities. Its story shaped by Schoolcraft's pen and sustained by the settlers who aided him. His later work with Native American tribes, inspired partly by those early Ozark encounters, cemented his enduring impact on American history. His extensive papers, preserved at the Library of Congress, remain a vital resource for scholars.